Hello, everyone. I'm Mongo. This is critical to the history of whatever dumbass bullshit I feel like rambling about at a given moment. Liger Boost is on the shelf for this one. He's dealing with some things. Uh, those who are fans of the medical lore will be thrilled when he's back, I'm sure. This is episode 99, and I'm flying solo. I'm just going to talk about the things that I want to talk about, which is what we do on the show anyway. Honestly, this has been a minute, been a long time. We're on my fourth consecutive Friday with a mental breakdown, so that's great. We're going to see if that streak continues through the remainder of the holiday season. Retail has been a nightmare this year, but now that I'm here with you, the loyal listenership of however many of you there still are left, we're going to talk about Jikkyou Power Pro-Wrestling 96 Max Voltage, or as the start screen will have you know, as Yoshinari Tsuji says it, Jikkyou Power Pro-Wrestling Kyujudoku Max Voltage. That's like the first thing I noticed about this game. I had not given this game much of a fair shake. Um, I think it was just because well, it's unlicensed and the only like quote unquote real characters are Konami characters, and I was just to me it was always that wrestling game with like the weird pre-rendered 3D sprites, which I thought kind of looked cool, but I never really gave it a whole lot of thought. And then I think it was the end of episode 98 where I asked Liger Busa like, "Hey, do you want to talk about that game?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I reacquired a ROM. I actually also bought the actual goddamn game and the apparently rare green label strategy guide, which is different from the one that's on Critical Club because that one's more like an overall game guide and like it has, I guess, interviews with the developers. The green label guide is much more similar to what Western fans would be accustomed to if you bought the Prima guides for the WCW or WWF games in the late 90s, where it's like a general game overview and then just the move sets for every character. And I think the green label guide also has an interview about the deathmatch feature in the game. Um, so yeah, I was not expecting a whole lot out of this. I've always thought the pre-rendered graphics look kind of cool. Um, I did not think when I loaded the game up and really started playing that I was going to come away with this is like a top five Super Famicom wrestling game for me, but I did. So this game does some really interesting stuff that we all laud and hail as people clang things in the background while I'm trying to record, that we all laud and acclaim other games for. Um, this game has the tap a button to grapple and then timed button press grapple gameplay of King of Colosseum. The strike collision detection is a lot like KOC as well. This is, to my knowledge, the first wrestling game that actually has like limb damage selling. Um, and there's, as far as I can see, there's two forms of it. When a character's received a lot of damage, they'll kind of hunch over with their arms dangling. And the first time I saw that, I was like, "That's really cool." And then I put my opponent in a bunch of arm submissions, and towards the end of a match, he was clutching his arm like you would see in the N64 Aki games, which I had always thought were the games that innovated that kind of thing. But this game came out in September, like mid September of 1996, so it predates even Virtual Pro Wrestling on the PlayStation. Um, so the gameplay, it's very simple. You have your strike button, your run button, grapple button. Once you grapple, you have weak, medium, and strong grapples. Um, this game takes a little bit more than your average Fire Pro to get to where you can use your medium grapples, and a little bit more to get to the strong grapples. There's no, as far as I can tell, two button press special moves. Those are just your heavy damage moves. There are singles matches, 2-on-2 tags, trios matches. There's a shoot style mode, which for my money is my favorite representation of shoot style in a wrestling game, just because I like the two escapes or three escapes leading to a down because it reminds me like of UWF 2.0 and I think kind of early rings as well. And also another thing that this game did before, as far as I can tell, any other game is there's an exploding barbed wire match, which also has the landmines on the floor. Now, this is where another KOC comparison will come in because the AI does do some goofy shit. They will run themselves into the barbed wire and go boom. They will frequently, when they've taken damage, roll out of the ring, land on one of the boards on the floor with the landmines, and go boom. But I really like this match. I think it's probably the best representation of a death match you could possibly have gotten from a Super Famicom game. Um, so those are the match types. There's no like cage match or anything beyond that. You kind of have like the three main genres of wrestling from Japan at the time. You have the straight wrestling, shoot wrestling, and deathmatch wrestling. This game has again pre-rendered 3D sprites, so most of the roster is like the same general body with like a slightly different head, and there's like 8 million different color combinations that make up the characters in the game. There's Konami characters in the game. You have, I think, Richter Belmont is in the game. There's a Snatcher. There's the dudes from Contra, Gomon, who is also like the Great Muda. There's guys from like Gradius and a bunch of other like Sparkster, I think is like the Hulk Hogan stand-in, maybe. Um, so the roster has some neat variety. There's a guy named Abracadabra who is clearly like a stand-in for like your chic type heels. He blows fire. That's like his strong strike. Um, the Gomon with the Great Muda move set, he sprays mist, and if it lands, there will be like green tint on like your character's face and torso. Um, I love the animations for a lot of the moves. This game looks both like a very early PlayStation game and also a Game Boy Advance game. Like it is no hesitation the best looking wrestling game like on any of the 16-bit systems. The characters have idle stances, which we don't really have for a lot of these games. Guys just kind of stand static sometimes. There some of the move animations are a little jerky, but like once I explain the other aspects of the presentation, like on top of everything being 3D except the crowd or 3D pre-rendered, it makes a lot of sense. This is a 32 meg cartridge. There is a career mode where you get to take your own character, and it's the Fire Pro special. You get a unique character, except you have more agency over who your character is here. And you do training sessions where if you do well, you can spend your upgrade points to get different moves. If you win matches, you can spend your upgrade points on different moves. There's stuff like if you win the Young Lions Cup, you can go to the American promotion. You can also transition to Reels, which is the Rings offshoot. There's the Deathmatch Company. I did not finish career mode, but there is a lot like there's a lot of stuff like you can set your character's diet if you want them to get heavier or if you want them to get lighter or if you want them to maintain the weight. There's three different categories. It's like weight, running, and strength. You devote the points to before a training session. Um, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to sink your teeth into. I don't know how long it runs. I think I'm around a year in. But I really dig the story mode. I really wish we had a better, like, more fully realized translation patch for this game because I think it would make the career mode a little bit easier to navigate and understand. The sound design in this game is immaculate. Yoshinari Tsuji does the commentary, and it's the best commentary in a wrestling game until like King of Colosseum, honestly. Bell rings, you'll hear the match type, the time limit, the names of the two participants. He calls basically every move. It it's corny and cliche, but this really does sound like you're listening to a Japanese wrestling broadcast from this era. The crowd noise is good. Like all of the sound design's immaculate. It's as good as I think the graphics are and as fantastic as I think the gameplay is. The sound design steals the whole freaking show here. It is a tremendous it's another tremendous layer on top of what's already a pretty stellar package. My big drawbacks to this game all stem from the fact it's the only game this developer got to make. Um, the move list is relatively small compared to Fire Pro. but compared to like the other unlicensed wrestling games of the era and even some of the licensed ones, the moveset's fucking expansive. There's a lot here. Um, but the rosters, like it's not the most interesting roster. The moveset's kind of small. I would have liked to have seen more attire variety, but like this was the first game these guys made, and I don't know if it was low sales or what the deal was, but it was developed by a studio called Diamond Head, probably unrelated to the move that Kenta Kobashi almost killed Kanemaru with. But I don't think these guys made another wrestling game. But if you told me that some of the devs from this game went on to work on other wrestling games that we all like, I'd probably believe that. Um, if you haven't played it, this is like the highest recommendation. Honestly, like it's such a fun, unique game. I mean, you can run off the foreground and background ropes. It's one of the very few games from this era that lets you do it. And there's like unique animations, obviously, for the moves, like the running strikes and such. You can do planches in this game, which were not super duper commonplace at this point. And the game also starts with dedicated to that love wrestling or something like that. Like, I'm a sucker for a screen that basically is like, hey, if you're a sicko and you love this shit, this one's for you. This game does that. It communicates it literally the very first thing when you turn the game on. And it's clear that somebody at Konami really liked wrestling or really wanted to cash in off of how hot wrestling was at the time. Probably a little bit of both. And it beyond just that, it's abundantly clear how passionate the developers were. In the strategy guide, also the green guide specifically, because you see some of it in the blue guide. There's all the pictures of like the pre-rendered 3D models doing moves like abracadabra blowing fire, Nakage, the main, like the quote unquote main character, his first character you see on the select screen. There's like a picture of him holding up all the belts. There's one of him doing like a German suplex. This is such a like seeing that stuff is so cool because it reminds me of seeing like the Donkey Kong Country and Killer Instinct artwork. And I wish we could have got another game in the style. I wish Konami could have somehow pulled off getting like the All Japan license or something. But I don't want to get too far into like the mental masturbation fantasy booking of stuff. Honestly, I mourn what we could have gotten but didn't. But I also really, and I need to emphasize this, really, 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 really love and appreciate the game that we got. It's fantastic. If I had to give a score out of 10, like this is a solid 8, especially when you compare it to the other wrestling games of the era. Like for context, in the US in 96, we got Power Move Pro Wrestling and WWF In Your House. This is a much better wrestling game than In Your House. And I could maybe make the argument it's a better game than Power Move. Just, I guess, they do a lot of the same things. I just think there's a little bit more meat on the bone gameplay wise for Jikkyou Power Pro. So that would be that would probably be the game I picked in that scenario. Just what a fantastic game. So I guess if people could stop clanging things while I'm trying to record, I'll move on to just a quick little news wrap up. As I'm sitting here, it's December 5th, not a great day in the life of me historically. 2 years ago, my friend Matt, if you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, he died by suicide. Today's the anniversary. And just, it has not been a particularly great last 4 weeks. I worked 7 straight, starting on Black Friday, going into today, and just all sorts of shenanigans. And I was told by my co-host, who is not here, that people have reached out and asked about me, and I appreciate that. I really, really do. Anytime anybody is as stupid as this is going to sound, anytime that anybody has anything good to say, or is like, hey, how's that guy doing? It's so weird to me because I don't feel like I deserve that acknowledgement so much. So I do greatly appreciate everybody who reached out. I'm doing the best that I can. Video game wise, we did get Marvel Cosmic Invasion on Monday, December 1st. I did not get to play it until December the 2nd. And I've already beaten the campaign. I love the campaign. I think the voice acting is great. I think the variety of levels is great. I think the variety of boss characters is wonderful. I wish the levels were longer. I could have went for like some mid-level bosses on a couple of those, honestly. Um was kind of shocked Galactus didn't end up being a boss character because there's like two levels in particular that feel like they're setting up um that you're gonna have to fight the big G, but I think that might end up being like a DLC thing, which I mean, I have no problem. The game was $30. I have zero problem with story expansion DLC. Um, I also like a lot of the palette swaps. Spider-Man has one that looks conspicuously close to Arachnaman, which everybody knows I love WCW. That tickled me. The Wolverine ones were all really neat. Some of them kind of surprised me, like X-Force gray and black with the red eyes. That was kind of cool. There's like a blue and black one that kind of looks like an X-Men toy that I had as a kid. They actually did a Storm one where they made really great use of like it's sprite based, but they recolor her costume so it looks like she has her like black and yellow 80s costume on. They just color like part of her legs to be like flesh tone. It like that's like a cool little attention to detail thing. They didn't have to go that far to be like, it kind of is the same costume, but here's the costume you might have wanted. Instead, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed playing as Beta Ray Bill. He's not a character I know a whole lot about, but he's a character I certainly want to read about now. He was a lot of fun to use in that game. Um, I think the two characters I haven't really used are Cosmic Ghost Rider and Rocket. I think I played as everybody else. Iron Man is a lot of fun. Captain America is still my favorite character to use in that game. It feels like they might have nerfed Venom between the demo and now. Maybe I'm just going insane. Um, it feels like there's a really high skill ceiling. I also, in the first level, the New York streets where you fight Beetle at the end, there's the one swarm of bugs. I managed to continue juggling the bugs that I had KO'd for a significant amount of time with Beta Ray Bill, and I had amassed an 1100 hit combo. I've tried to replicate it after, and I haven't been able to, but I just thought that was like the neatest thing. I also think it's very interesting to see people saying they'd like to see a spiritual successor to War of the Gems by Tribute Games, because that's kind of what this is. War of the Gems adapts like a couple of the big cosmic events of the 90s, and this game adapts the big cosmic event of the 2000s, Annihilation. And also, in the intermission screens between levels, the music kind of sounds like a nod to War of the Gems. So I think my biggest complaint is we didn't end up getting the select screen that they had at Summer Games Fest, where it looked, or that might have been from the Famitsu preview. Either way, the original select screen that we saw had more of a Marvel versus Capcom 1 vibe to it that I wish they'd retained, because I just, in a game full of 9 million callbacks, that was a really nice one to have. But yeah, again, highest recommendation possible for Cosmic Invasion. It's $30. There's a physical edition coming out that looks awesome. I kind of wish we would have gotten one of the big $200 pieces of shit from Limited Run, because I probably would have bought that. But that game is stellar. Apparently, they have Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods reporting stuff for WWE 2K26. I don't know what. I probably GM mode, maybe. But I don't think too much about that game. I'm not real interested. There's probably been a UPW update since our last episode, I'm sure. I think Liger Busa sent me something about like we're not far off from like a release date, but at this point, like, I don't mean to be a dick, but who cares? We've seen so little to actually be excited about. I would rather we get the demo in hand and start seeing some more gameplay footage and such. before we start hyping a release date, but that's just me. Action figures, we weirdly have a lot of news because it's been a month. Ringside Fest happened. It was another Zoom shit show. Ricky Starks was in his car. He didn't give a fuck. Ray Fenix talked for like a half an hour. God bless him. And then we got to the reveals, and there wasn't really anything like mind blowing. And then they dropped that like they're doing a defining moments New Jack, and it's being designed by Bill McKenna, which immediately kind of killed my interest in it because Bill is not great at this, and the render we saw was not the most encouraging. And then immediately after, Zombie Sailor reveals that once Pinnacle Series 1 is in hand, more on that in a minute. Once Pinnacle Series 1 is in hand, New Jack will be going up solo immediately. Um, I don't know if it's going to be like a short pre-order window or an instant drop or how that's going to work. It's clear the New Jack body is just the Pillman body repainted, which that's fine. You're going to throw a soft goods shirt over it. I'm never going to take the shirt off. It's fucking New Jack. There's no reason to take the shirt off. The head sculpts from the zombie one look far more like New Jack than the render head sculpts from Mattel. And I just felt like Ringside Fest had nothing to offer me as a collector. Which at this point, I suppose, isn't necessarily a complaint. I'm used to seeing one or two things. You know what I mean? That that excite me. They are doing a live stream today at 4 Eastern as I sit here recording this, so we're gonna see. Apparently, there's more reveals coming. I expect maybe to see the next Coliseum collection, maybe the next Ultimate Edition Tag Team 2-pack. There's still the rumor out there that it's going to be the Brothers of Destruction circa 2001. I'm personally curious to see when they start rolling out the new, more Jazzwares AEW like articulation scheme that they debuted on Tiffany Stratton. Which that is an incredible figure. I have zero interest in owning it, but that is a phenomenal figure. If you're a fan of Tiffany Stratton, they absolutely nailed what they did there in a way that they just did not do with the Elite that they did. I thought that was the pretty big miss, honestly. Um, excuse me. They're currently on jnjfigures.com. I do not know how much longer it's going to last. There's a 1 of 500 Bloody Sabu by Zombie Sailor. He's in gold pants. This figure looks fucking sweet. It's on an all-new red carding with the cross-sell from what I presume is going to be the ECW series on the back from what I believe I've seen. I already have the pink pants Sabu, and that's a great figure, and it's, you know, a nice variant of a figure I already have. I'm really, really kicking the tires of this gold pants Sabu, honestly. Like it is a great figure, even though it's literally just, you know, the second repaint of something we already have. The gold pants and the blood really do add a lot to sort of enhance that figure. Ringside Collectibles shadow dropped or shock dropped, however you want to say it, a set of demolition figures that I would regularly be pretty excited about, but there's a couple of things. The straps on their gear are painted on, and they don't appear to actually line up in any way that makes fucking sense. If you look at the back of the torso versus the front, the head sculpts are pretty good. I would argue I think the head sculpts are better than the Mattel ones, but it's a very hard sell at this point when you know that the Mattel Elites are on the way, and they're obvious candidates for Ultimate Editions. Probably as a ringside two, ironically enough. I sorry, about to sneeze. Um I do wonder if the ringside line is still going to have Sabu in it, because that was implied. Like that was very much teased that they were going to have Sabu, but we've gotten no No real substantive updates. They've been very secretive. I mean, again, they literally shadow dropped Sabu, so I don't expect that they're going to communicate, or Sabu Demolition. I don't expect they're going to communicate that Sabu is coming before he actually is. They did also during Ringside Fest. I told a lie. There was one thing that I thought was kind of interesting, and it was the Ultimate Edition Series 30 Hulk Hogan, which is the one that has the piece that's like the shirt being ripped and it has hands molded in, so you just peg that into the figure. You don't have to worry about like the shirt coming out of the hands or anything like that. Um, I think they meant to base this off of the cover of WrestleMania for the NES, but he has a Hulk Rules shirt on, so it feels like maybe a little bit of a mashup. But if you buy this, you basically, if you're somebody who like needs a Hogan for your shelf or wants a Hogan for your shelf, I don't think you need another one after you get this one. If you get this one, I think this one's pretty much perfect for whatever version of Hogan you want on your shelf. Honestly, um, also on that set are Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley. Kind of just don't give a shit. The Powertown saga continues because now people who are formerly or were formerly partners like Medusa are calling. For those playing along at home, there have been zero updates of any substance, but the Wrestling Collection keeps sending out emails to solicit orders for items that were previously in stock. So, like Powertown Series 1, the Cardona and Myers 2-pack, Diamond Collection Kerry Von Erich. All of these things allegedly sold out, and now they're just available again. And it feels like a pretty transparent method of Powertown trying to secure the funds to get the items to their warehouse. And it's been fascinating to kind of watch the whole Powertown situation unfold because they were a company that we all had such tremendously high hopes for when they launched. And the first series of figures had the little bumps, but then they came out and they were great. And then it just felt like a million years until the next thing shipped. And it's obvious that these guys don't respect the collectors and don't respect people buying the figures, and they don't understand that it's not 1980 fucking 5 anymore. In that the toy buyers for your major retailers aren't going to just be like, oh golly gee whiz, let me give more shelf space to professional wrestling. Because they had mentioned having those deals with like Amazon and Walmart and Target that never kind of amounted to anything and never really went anywhere. Um, I don't I don't foresee Powertown delivering the things they solicited the pre-orders for. I think it's a pretty safe bet that if you don't get a refund, you're going to be out that money. So, like, if you're still, on the hook for those, I'd get off the fucking hook as quickly as possible before there's no company to get a refund from. Um, Also, speaking of Zombie Sailor, the Road Warriors went up for pre-order on Black Friday. They are $100, the doorbuster price. They will go up to 125. I'm assuming it's because of how elaborate and detailed the spiked pads are, because they are tremendously detailed and intricate, and both of the figures themselves look absolutely incredible. I ordered two. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, just great, great figures, and it seems like they're going to be shipping after the current wave of solicited pre-orders do. I do believe there's a chance that they're in hand, but we still have the Bloodsport figures, which are set to dock, I think, on the 15th, is what I read. And then Punk number 2 and the Pinnacle collection are still just listed as en route from the factory. Let me take a look here. Last update, December 4th. Below is the latest status on all current pre-order items. Please note that all dates listed are estimates provided by our factory and freight partners and may shift due to circumstances outside of our control. Orders will begin shipping as soon as inventory arrives at our warehouse and will be fulfilled in the order they were received. So Bloodsport currently expected to arrive at our warehouse December 15th. Fulfillment will begin immediately upon arrival. CM Punk shipment is currently in transit from the factory. Our orders will begin shipping as soon as the shipment arrives at our warehouse. And that same message is kind of copy pasted onto the Pinnacle collection. Road Warriors are currently set to ship late January to mid February, and the Army of Darkness pre-orders, which went up, I believe, on Black Friday as well. Those are set to go out in late January. So it should be a rather busy next 8 to 12 weeks in the world of Zombie Sailor toys in terms of things coming in and being fulfilled. We'll have to see kind of how all of this shakes out. I know a lot of us were expecting Pinnacle Collection Series 1 to be in hand before Christmas. It very obviously is not going to happen. I'm assuming mid to late January for these, which would push back Army of Darkness and the Road Warriors, but you can't ship the in stock or almost in stock stuff before the earlier solicited pre-orders. That just doesn't make any sense. It hasn't been mentioned if New Jack is now independent of Series 2 or if it's a Danhausen situation and he's kind of technically still Series 2, but like just released earlier like Danhausen was, and there will be a replacement. Also, the SummerSlam 99 Elite set that we had talked about on the previous episode was actually confirmed, and the pre-orders are up. It is China, Triple H, Mankind, and Steve Austin, based on the main event of the 1999 pay-per-view that saw, I think Mankind wins the title and then drops the belt to Triple H the next night because Austin was like, "I'm not doing the job, Vince. Goddamn, son. I ain't putting him over." But it'll be interesting to see what these look like. Hopefully, Magic Olmas is the designer, because I think if he is, we'll get 4 pretty solid figures. If it's Bill, I'm not real optimistic. Elsewhere, because we talk a little bit of comics news here, I did watch both Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps. I liked Superman. I was not as high on it as a lot of people that I know. There was some there were things I was not wild about. I kind of wish like the JSA characters or whatever name they're going to run with them. I kind of wish they didn't have as much of the movie as they did. I kind of would have liked more of the Daily Planet characters being focused on because it's a great cast. I would have liked more of them. It was a little snarky and quippy, which I feel like that's kind of just how superhero movies have to be now, but I kind of don't like that in a Superman movie. But it wasn't enough to make me say it was a bad movie. It was just something that, like, when it would happen, I would be like, yeah, we got to do that, don't we? A lot of people that I knew that had seen both movies were shocked that I watched that before Fantastic Four and had told me, like, no, you'll like Fantastic Four way more. And I watched that movie this morning and I did like it. I don't know about way more, but I did like it a little bit more. Another case of like a really great cast, because Superman has a phenomenal cast too. I really thought they used Galactus well. I thought he looked really cool. I did not give a shit that the Silver Surfer was a woman. I think anybody that was mad about that is a fucking dummy. Because I mean, there's nothing to say Norrin Rad can't fucking show up and be a good guy or whatever. Like, chill out. I thought the ending kind of dragged a little bit. And I know like there's the stuff in some of the Fantastic Four runs where like Reed and Sue have like their moments of contention. I feel like they might have misread the intent of those when they wrote this movie, because it felt more like, oh, this is clearly a dysfunctional marriage, as opposed to like, no, Reed's like the smartest guy in the world, and sometimes that overwhelms Sue a little bit. Like there were points where it was just like, oh yeah, if you don't know, you'd think like these two are just just dysfunctional as shit. Um, but I really liked it. The Thing was cool in that movie. Human Torch was a little fucking dickhead. Not as much of a dickhead as Chris Evans in the '05 movie, but like, yeah, yeah, he was. That's like one of the things. If you have the Human Torch and he's a little shithead, then you've got the assignment enough for my taste. Um, I also noticed that Marvel are releasing the Charles Soule run of Daredevil on February, I think 10th of next year, and these are 400 page or sub 400 page trade paperbacks, which typically from Marvel those are the Epic collections. They retail for $44 or $49. These Daredevil books are retailing for $24.99 each, and they know what they're doing because they're dropping all three of them on the same day. And the comics industry is in a weird spot because if you're able to like make this work and and put out these affordable big paperbacks, why are we not doing this with like the Epic collections and even the DC Finest books? And why are we not trying to push Penguin Random House harder to get these into like Walmart instead of just being on the Walmart and Target storefronts? Listen, my I live in bumfuck Ohio. I walk into my Walmart, there's a shit ton of manga that just sits there because it's bumfuck Ohio, and there's a very small percentage of us that are gonna geek out over this stuff. You can't convince me Walmart won't make a little bit of shelf space for like Spider-Man or Batman or Superman or the Justice League or the Avengers or the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or the Hulk or fucking Thor or like I would mark out for a Green Arrow book on the shelf, or like Wonder Woman or the Flash, or goddamn Nightwing. there's there's so many of these characters. I think if you just put an affordable book into the big stores and even some of the unconventional stores, I've seen the pictures of the CDUs of like just DC single issues and compacts at the gas stations. Like, if we could get these books into more places and make them more affordable, there'd be more readers. The comics industry's had a good year. DC specifically has had a wonderful year built on the back, the considerably sized back of Absolute Batman. But I think I think if we're able to do these $25 trades that are massive for something like Daredevil because it ties in with the Disney Plus series, I see no reason why you can't do $25 trades as just a rule. I see no reason why the Marvel Premiere books can't be $12 to combat the $10 DC compacts. I don't see why the DC Finest books can't be $25 if the other company's doing it. But I really feel like 2026 is going to be an interesting year. I think Marvel has kind of shown their hand with the Premiere collections, and it's not an especially exciting lineup beyond Planet Hulk and Welcome Back Frank, if I'm being honest. DC showed their hand, and it's a much more interesting lineup, although I do think there's some stuff I have absolutely zero fucking interest in owning. Like, I don't care about anything by Tom King. I'm not buying the Visions. I'm not buying Supergirl. I don't fucking care. I don't care about like Batman White Knight. I don't really care about Gotham by Gaslight. I do give a fuck about Gotham Central though. Ed Brubaker's tremendous. I did read Giant Size Criminal #1, which I picked up. I went to the comic shop and picked up about 2 months worth of stuff yesterday, and had a lot of fun reading the very little that I did last night before it was time to do other things. But it was a great little story about our old buddy Ricky Lawless, and it seems like there's another criminal hardcover coming out. I want to say in May of next year. There's supposed to be an Amazon streaming series at some point soon, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing kind of how that plays out because I love Criminal. It's in my top three runs I've read are probably Criminal, Invincible, and Immortal Hulk, and the order of those three depends on the day, to be honest. But that'll probably do us for this abbreviated episode. we're gonna see if I get around to recording any other any of our guest interviews or anything this weekend. I'm feeling a little bit better, mentally right now, having sat down to do this podcast. But we'll see how things are shaking tomorrow morning. Obviously, but just to close out the show, because I feel like I have to end on some sort of a note. It's a hard time for a lot of us, the holiday season. Today, especially, very difficult for me. And I should probably take my own advice on this, but I won't because I care more about everybody else than me. But if you need help, ask. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out. If there's help that can be afforded to you to make this time of year a little bit fucking easier, please go get it. Um, Again, I'm not going to take that advice because I'm me and it is what it is. But I appreciate everybody that's reached out to my co-host. Just seriously, that means a lot to me. I go through this not thinking anybody really gives a shit. So yeah, I appreciate that. But I'm gonna finish my lunch that I've kind of been gnawing at while trying to record, and I'm gonna read some comic books and probably watch ROH tonight or whatever the fuck. And hopefully, Christmas week we have a big super cut of me and maybe LB shooting the shit with a number of people. But we're gonna see how all of that shakes out. So until then, take care and don't be an asshole. And if I don't talk to all y'all before then, have a happy holiday season. Peace out.
One.